Hello everyone, my name is Svetlana and I know that you are used to seeing me at the other channel, but in this video, on this channel, we are not going to speak about dating and relationship. In this channel we are going to discuss Ukrainian traditions, and I hope it will be interesting and useful for you. Today I want to bring up an interesting topic. I want to discuss the confusing differences in Ukrainian and Russian languages. Some people tend to think that Ukrainian and Russian languages are almost alike. Other people think that they are way too different. To be honest, if a person is speaking Russian, it will be really hard for this person to start speaking Ukrainian without actually learning the language. For example, my mom, who has been living in Kharkiv for 40 years already, she doesn't speak Ukrainian. She can watch TV in Ukrainian, she is used to that, but she can hardly write in Ukrainian or speak Ukrainian. Like the majority of people of her generation, they were raised and they went to schools in Soviet Union. And in that time, people were learning Russian language. So for them, Ukrainian is different and quite difficult. In Kharkiv, the city where I'm filming this video for you, you can hardly actually hear any Ukrainian language unless the person is from the west of Ukraine. So people speak Russian here. So the first confusion, how to say it correctly, Kharkov or Kharkiv? Kharkiv is a Ukrainian version, and you can see Kharkiv when you book their airplane ticket, because our official language is Ukrainian. But you can hardly hear anyone in Kharkov actually call the city Kharkiv. Same is about Dnieper and Dnipro. That's the name of the same city, but Dnieper is the way Russian-speaking Ukrainians call it, while Dnipro is an official Ukrainian way of calling the city. And the majority of people in Dnieper are Russian-speaking, so you will see Dnipro on official documents, but you will hear people call it Dnieper. If we are speaking about Lviv and Lvov, of course in Kharkiv people will call Lviv Lvov, but Lviv is a Ukrainian-speaking city, so people call it Lviv, not Lvov. And if you go to the west of Ukraine, to Lviv and that area, you will hear lots of Ukrainian language there. But will it be alike to the language that we hear at our national TV? No, because in the west of Ukraine, people used lots of Polish words, Hungarian words, so sometimes when Ukrainians who can speak Ukrainian go to the west of Ukraine, they do not understand some of the words. People forget that Ukraine is a big country, so it's not a huge surprise that there are accents in different regions, and Ukrainian language is quite different. Even if we are talking about Russian language in Russia and Russian language in Ukraine, the accent will be different, the pronunciation will be different. Even the type of slang words and common words and words combination will be different. Sometimes people get confused with the difference in names. For example, my name in Ukrainian language is Svetlana, while in Russian it's Svetlana. And Olga got confused because in Russian language they are Olga, but in Ukrainian Olha, or the popular name Marina in Russian language or Marina in Ukrainian language. Pronunciation is different, and when you write it, one letter is different. Some names get a bigger transformation while translating from Russian into Ukrainian. For example, Yelena in Russian will be Olena in Ukrainian. Or for example, Nikolai in Russian will be Mykola in Ukrainian. Dmitry in Russian, Dmitro in Ukrainian. It is getting more confusing and complicated for Ukrainians because you have part of your documents in Russian language and other part in Ukrainian, and sometimes several letters can be different. You can say that name sounds really alike and just one or two letters are different. You are really right. But if we are speaking about the language, there will be a difference. For example, in Russian language you say spasiba, and I'm sure the majority of you already know it. Well, in Ukrainian it's дякую. So you can see that it's like a totally different word. There is this myth that people who speak Ukrainian hate people who speak Russian, or people who speak Russian in Ukraine hate people who are Ukrainian speaking. In real life, there are not really open-minded and rather shallow people in all cultures, and they don't define the whole nation. The majority of people are okay with the fact that the country is bilingual, and the majority of people in Ukraine speak Russian, but in the West, the whole region is Ukrainian speaking. I can think of a story that has happened to me several years ago when I was in Lviv. or in Lviv, if we call it in Ukrainian. And I wanted to go there on the excursion, and the excursion included, it was a group excursion, it included people from different regions of Ukraine. There were people from Kiev, from Dnieper, from Kharkiv. There were several Russian tourists from St. Petersburg, and one of the ladies inside the group, she said that, "Oh wow, I don't want excursion to be in foreign language." By foreign she meant Russian, and she was speaking Ukrainian. The local guide who was from Lviv, and all the people were shocked. We all were looking like, "You're like, really? Like, are you serious?" And she was like really arrogant and pushy. She has started telling that we have to have this excursion in Ukrainian, and the guide at the very beginning has asked like which language people prefer, and the majority of hands were raised for Russian. And when we have learned that there are people from St. Petersburg who do not understand any Ukrainian, we were like, okay, Russian. I was happy because for me Russian is my first language. People from Kiev who were Ukrainian speaking, they said that for them it doesn't matter if it is in Russian or in Ukrainian. So that not very nice Ukrainian-speaking lady that tried to create the conflict, she ended up to be thrown out from the excursion, because people have called that travel agency and we told that we want to have another guide and we don't want to have her in the group. So the excursion has continued in Russian language, and I don't know if that lady went with a private tour guide in Ukrainian. The core of the story is there will be angry and unhappy, difficult people in all cultures, and you can't define the whole country or the whole city by such people. This summer I have made some new friends. Actually, I have met them in Turkey, but they were from Lviv, and this couple, they were Ukrainian speaking, and they told us that they have lived in Kharkiv because of their work for a few years, and they never ever had a problem speaking Ukrainian. So usually they were speaking Ukrainian and people were answering them in Russian. So everybody understands everyone, there is no tension at all. We have communicated in the same manner. I was speaking to her in Russian, she was answering me in Ukrainian. That was natural to us. So is there actually tension between Russian-speaking Ukrainians and Ukrainian-speaking Ukrainians? No, if people are open-minded, well-educated and well-raised, there is no tension. Of course, if people are looking for drama, they can create drama about any scene, and these people do not define the whole country, of course, luckily. So, if you are thinking which language to learn, Russian or Ukrainian, think about your goals. If you are thinking about it in the practical, logical way, of course you can speak Russian in the bigger amount of countries. In Russia, in Kazakhstan, in Ukraine, in Belarus, in the majority of Baltic countries, people will understand Russian, so you will have more opportunities to use it. But if, for example, you are going to live in Lviv or in Lvov, and you know that you want to make friends there, and the majority of your colleagues are going to speak Ukrainian, learn Ukrainian, of course. I really like it about Switzerland, and there is this tiny part of Italy called the Tyrol, where people speak Retro-Romanish, and in Switzerland there are like 6 foreign languages, official foreign languages, and Retro-Romanish, only 6% of the country speak Retro-Romanish. And nobody said that if, for example, that's the language you use at home, that you're a bad person. So if you are choosing a foreign language to learn, will Retro-Romanish be your first choice? Of course not. But if you are going to live in that area, then of course you will have to learn it. Same with Russian and Ukrainian language. If you have time and if you are really good with languages, of course Ukrainian is a really beautiful language to learn, so you can learn Russian in Ukrainian. And if you have just one language to choose, I would recommend to learn Russian because you can use it in many countries. Also, if you have already learned Russian, it would be easier for you to learn Ukrainian, and after Ukrainian it would be easier for you to learn Polish. If you are crazy about learning foreign languages as I am, then it would be a good strategy. I hope it was useful for you, and I really hope you will subscribe to our new channel, you will press like, and in the comments below this video you will write us which topics you would like us to bring up. With love for you, from Ukraine City Tours, Svetlana.